So making sure you have a space that you can move freely. You don't have to have a yoga mat, although it's nice to have and it's helpful. It's also good to have a chair because I like to finish our practice in sitting, in particular, having a sitting surface that's firm so you can feel your sit bones underneath it. Or you're welcome to sit on the chair. So I just wanted to say a few words about mindful movement practice. You know, a lot of us in the movement community and the yoga community or meditation community will debate about what exactly is mindful movement, and it depends on which point of the practice you're coming through. Some people like to do a meditation practice that is a focus or 1-point focus, and some people like to do a mindfulness practice that allows for what is arising and to pay attention to that constancy of what is arising. When I give feedback or when I lead my class, you'll hear me give probably sometimes maybe more biomechanical cues than some people want to hear, or I do sometimes talk a lot. Feel free to tune me out. But I would say, I would check in with yourself about where it is that you would like to start and be in your practice today. In other words, your practice needs to support where you are. So for instance, sometimes a one-pointed practice can be very helpful if you're feeling down or in a negative mindset, to have something to focus on. For instance, my voice, to pay attention to the movements, to pay attention to a particular point in space, something like that can be very helpful to shift the mind. And then for some of you who have been focusing all day and might be more hyper anxious, high strung, you might want to just allow for what's flowing. So it just really depends, but I invite you to sense into your body, especially if you're not sure, and just to let yourself do what your body needs to do. So I like to start in standing, but again, I encourage you to find the posture that best works for you. So that posture can be in standing or sitting or lying down, just for starting. And I'll start with what my son just invited me to do, 5 breaths. Just allowing for your body to settle into the posture that feels most nourishing for you. And we'll take 5 breaths here. And with every exhalation, just allowing the body and the awareness to start to settle either within the body or maybe somewhere off the body, whatever feels safe to you. And you might have noticed within yourself a natural inclination to breathe in a particular way, whether it was through the nose or through the mouth. It's good if you can encourage, if you'd like, breathing in through the nose. But with this time of year, with allergies, sometimes breathing through the mouth is really all that's available. So also checking in with your breath and allowing for the breath that's most easeful right now. And as we go through the practice, you might notice that it'll change. Sometimes the sinuses will release and you can breathe in through the nostrils. So breathing in and out through the nose is optimal, but of course, breathing is the best. So allowing for the awareness to start to shift down through the body towards the feet. And establishing the contact of your feet, the weight of the feet, the surface of the feet with the earth underneath your feet. Allowing the awareness to settle down to the feet, a little bit like a quarter floating through a gallon of water, or a coin floating through a gallon of water. And that coin is making its way down to the feet, down to the earth, and underneath us is the ancestral lands of the people who have come before. These are the native and indigenous people that have lived and prayed on the land, prayed for the well-beings of their families, for their ancestors, and the prayers that have given shape to your own bones and your blood and your nervous system. And those prayers might have been unconscious or conscious, but whatever the prayers and whomever the prayers are from, of goodness that have taken shape into your beingness now. So allowing for that contact. Just allowing for that grace of the contact to accompany us in our practice today. We're going to shift into the 6 movements of the spine. The first and second movement is similar to cat-cow if you're familiar with yoga. I'm going to be doing this in sitting just to take a little pressure off my knees. But for those of you who are standing, you can come into a position where the feet are about hip or shoulder width apart, looking down at your feet, making sure they're pointing straight ahead. And then coming down into a gentle squat, making sure the knees are over the toes. Finding an easeful position here, and then placing the hands on the thighs. From here, start to exhale, and as you exhale, draw the belly button into the spine. And as you inhale, releasing the belly and moving the belly away in the opposite direction, so that there's this, as you exhale, drawing the belly button in, the tailbone scoops under, and as you inhale, releasing the belly, the tailbone moves in the other direction. So continuing that movement of breath and pelvis. And you may find already that this is happening, but that as we go and sink into the movement and allow for the natural progression, that the movement will want to continue up through the spinal column, between the shoulders, maybe even up all the way towards the head. And as you inhale, moving in the other direction, as the movement continues up the spine, the chest starts to lift. And maybe even the chin lifts towards the ceiling. And continuing with that movement. Noticing any places in the movement where there might be kind of a ratcheting or jerking, or maybe even points of unawareness. And then when you're feeling that you can pause, just coming into a pause of neutral position, somewhere between that forward and backward bend. And then with your next exhalation, gently pressing yourself up into standing upright. Just noticing the movement of energy in the back body. And noticing as you are standing here, coming to a settled position and standing, where the eyes are naturally resting. Do they naturally rest on the horizon? And maybe even allowing for a moment for the eyes to drift down to the lower third of the visual field. For those of you who have the eyes higher, just allowing the eyes to settle down towards the earth. And maybe allowing for a little smile, upturn at the mouth. And this little smile and position of the eyes allows the nervous system to further integrate from the day. And you can continue with this position with the eyes if you'd like, but finding within yourself too, if you need to move them, that's okay. And from here, we're going to check the position of the pelvis, bringing the hands to the lower belly, below the belly button, just allowing them to gently rest one hand on top of the other. And for a moment here, we're just going to allow the body to sway forward and back. So just feeling the ball of the foot, then the heel of the foot, just moving back and forth. And gently coming back to a place, a middle ground between the ball and the heel of the foot. Just noticing as you come into that position, maybe there's a little engagement with the knees, maybe the knees are slightly bent. And with the hands now, start to draw the hands in a little bit as if you're trying to help the belly draw in and then draw up for the hands. So the hands are drawing in and then up. So keeping the hands pressed in about a 1/4 inch and then drawing the skin and belly up. As you do this, you might notice that the weight shifts a little bit. See if you can keep it in the middle of the feet, maybe drawing up through the thighs. As you drop through the thighs, allowing for the tailbone to descend a little bit more towards the earth. This is our firm tadasana, a mountain pose. You can, if you'd like, rest in your gaze, allowing the eyes to sink back into the head. Engaging this belly, maybe at about 30%. We're going to release the hands here by the sides and go into the 3rd and 4th position of the spine, side bending. So the hands are on the sides of the legs here. We're just very gently side bending, simple movement to the right, to the left. I'm doing that for 3 breaths. And whenever I say these numbers, you're welcome to, if you feel like you need to do more, or to pause when it feels right. And coming back to center here, just noticing any shifting in the weight on the feet, in the belly. If you need to, you can re-engage the belly. Sometimes everything kind of lets go when we move. Just notice the position of the feet, the engagement of the thighs, position of the pelvis. Sometimes we'll collapse in the chest, so just allowing for the chest to open, the heart. And dropping the hands again, we'll side bend again, side bending to the right. And we'll pause here for 3 to 5 breaths, turning the head to look down towards the outside of the right foot. And you'll notice that when you're in this position, the breath will naturally want to go where it can. So in the side body here, in the rib cage, if you'd like, you can slide that left hand up and down the sides. And to come out of this position, start to turn the head to the left Raise that left hand up towards the earth, taking a breath here. And reaching up with the arm, exhaling the arm down. Noticing the flow of energy and aliveness of the left side versus the right. You might even feel a little taller or shorter on the other. Again, checking the position of the feet, the thighs, the belly. Allowing that left hand to slide down the left side of the leg, the right hand along the right side of the body draws up towards the armpit, and turning the head to look down towards the left. And turning the head to look up towards the sky, drawing that right hand up. And bring the right hand down, coming back into standing, pausing here for 3 breaths. And going into the 5th and 6th movements of the spine, this is a rotation in either direction. So I find it helpful to have the legs wider apart here, maybe about 3 feet, 2 feet, depending on how tall you are. For me, it's about 2 feet apart. And start to lift one heel, then the other. And as you lift the heel, start to translate the force into the big toe, into the leg, into the pelvis, into the low back. And as you do so, you'll find that the body just naturally rotates and the arms letting them freely swing. And gradually allow the arms to come up to shoulder height in the swing. And we'll do a little breath practice here. Inhaling to the right, exhaling to the left with the arms at shoulder height. And gradually allow the arms to start to drift back down, releasing the breath there. And gradually coming to a standstill. Bringing the legs together, we'll pause here in this mountain pose. Again, checking the feet, the thighs, the body, the circulation of energy from the earth through the columns of the legs and the trunk. Checking your connection. And taking some time here now for the eyes. The eyes and the hips and the pelvis are intimately related. And the eyes will always operate to keep themselves level, so the body will compensate. So for here, we're going to allow for the eyes first to move up and down, just very gently, trying that movement once or twice. And now bringing a hand to the forehead, very gently resting on the forehead. And we'll do this movement of the eyes again, but very gently, allowing for the head to rest in the hand. Noticing the difference. And releasing the hand and the eyes, just pausing here for a moment. And being very, very gentle. The eyes are small muscles that can be easily overworked. So we're going to move the eyes from side to side now, allowing the eyes to drift left and right. Trying that once or twice. And then pausing for a moment, bringing the hands to the chin, to the TMJ, to these jaw joints. And just pausing here very carefully. This is the pressure of a dime. And if you're uncomfortable placing your hands on your face, you can even just have the hands just hovering carefully, softly. And from here, allowing the eyes to drift left and right. And maybe noticing the difference. And pausing here for a moment and just checking in with your breath, but also releasing the hands and just noticing the quieting that's starting to happen in the body with just a gentle movement of the eyes. So we're going to finish the eye practice with moving the eyes in circles 3 times in each direction, but finding the position that is helpful for you. You can have the hands on the face or the hands by the sides and just noticing that gentle movement and its effect on the body. And switching directions. And then pausing and settling. We're going to take our practice up a little notch here by going into some movements for the hips and then a few standing poses, but taking the quieting with you, allowing for the settling to continue even as we move. And if you feel like you're starting to come out of that quiet place, you're welcome to stop, to sit, to pause, but doing what is working for you. So we're going to get a steady feeling in our feet here. I'm finding that I need the hand on a chair. If you are feeling a little bit more ungrounded or anxious in your life, it's actually in this type of practice really helpful to have a hand on the wall or something where you can have a type of physical steadiness. This will help translate into the rest of the mind. Allowing the body to shift to the left, feeling the edges of the feet here. So allowing for the body to settle on the edges of the left foot and drawing the left hip in so that there's this engagement in the buttock area. So with a firm leg, the left leg is allowing the right knee to drift up and down. And just noticing as you do this, the sensation in the hip. If you can, drawing the knee up past the waist, as this will engage the psoas muscle, this lumbar stabilization muscle. And then bringing the right foot down and turning the right knee out. We'll continue that movement out to the side. And doing as best as you can to keep the hip nice and even and straight across. And then translating that movement into circles. And switching directions. And bringing that right leg down and pausing here. Sensing and feeling the waking up of the hip and the pelvis. And we'll go into a tree pose. So again, shifting the weight over to the left leg, feeling the edges of the feet and turning the right knee out. And allowing for the heel of the right foot to rest on the inner left ankle. And really taking your time here to allow the body to settle. You can, if you'd like, check in with this lower abdomen and bring it into that place that we explored earlier of slight engagement with the hip and the lower abdomen engaged. Now, if you feel like you want to do more, some people like to do this position with the foot on the inner calf, or even pressed up into the groin. And as you do this position, just really checking in with the body. Finding what position is going to serve you as we continue, allowing for the hands to reach up, scooping the energies around us, exhaling down through the midline and pausing at the heart. Allowing for that slight smile, a lifting of the heart towards the heavens, and a dropping of the tailbone towards the earth. Releasing the hands, the foot, and coming back to standing on both feet. And shifting to the other side. So shifting the weight over to the right foot, again, feeling the edges of the feet, the front and back. Position of the hips, keeping the hips nice and level. Squeezing the hip in towards the center. And allowing the toes of the left foot to come out in front of you, and then bringing the left knee up and down. And drawing the left knee out to the side and drawing it up and down. And you might notice a very marked difference between one side of the body or the other. And then from here, coming into circles. And switching. And coming back to center on both feet. And we'll go into tree pose here. So shifting the weight onto the right side again. This time resting with the heel of the left foot on the inner ankle of the right. Again, checking in with the hips, the pelvis, engaging the glutes, the thigh, the edge of the feet. Tailbone descending towards the earth as the chest lifts towards the sky. Side bodies long. From here, inhaling the arms up. Exhaling the arms down through the center. And releasing the hands and the feet. Keeping the quality of your practice and the settling in your body. We're going into a lunge. So shifting the weight onto the left leg again and drawing back with the right foot. And checking your knees to make sure that the left knee is over the left ankle. That right foot is pressing back. Right knee is pressing back. And this is a really great place to check the position of the pelvis as you help with the hands, dropping the tailbone, lifting through the chest. So some people, as they drop the tailbone, they sometimes might overextend in the chest. So just imagine as you drop the tailbone, these lower ribs start to draw in, actually, even as the chest lifts. And from here, allowing the hands to float in front of you, floating up towards the sky. And breathing here. Allowing that left hand to drop towards the left thigh. The right hand is still up in the air. We're going to pivot on that right foot. So turning the right foot to face forward, right arm is in the air. Checking the position of the feet is really helpful to have the left heel in line with the middle arch of the right foot. Allowing both arms to drift up, dropping the tailbone. And exhaling the arms down to shoulder height. And allowing the head just to drift from left to right. So even as this lower body's engaged through the edges of the feet, the inner and outer edges, the hips are engaged towards the center of the body. And pausing with the head in the center, now allowing the left ear to come to left shoulder, right ear to right shoulder. And dropping that right hand towards the outer right leg, left arm lifts up and over, side bending to the right. And exhaling, bring that left elbow or left hand down to the left thigh, right arm over. And continuing this flow of side bending and breathing. Making your way back to the arm shoulder height. Some people call this warrior two. And dropping the arms down towards the hips, we'll pivot that right foot again, turning to face over the left leg. From here, we'll do a turn, a twist to the left. So inhaling that the arms up again. And then as you exhale, turning the body to the left, pressing back with the right knee as you turn towards the left. The right hand is on the outer left thigh, left hand on the tailbone, and breathing into the side bodies. What can you let go of? And inhaling that right arm back up again, left arm up. Pausing here for a breath. And exhaling, stepping your feet together. Pausing here for a moment, sensing and feeling the body. And we'll switch to the other side. Shifting to the right foot now, stepping the left foot back. Right knee over the left ankle. Allowing for the tailbone to descend towards the earth. Lower ribs drawing back as the upper chest lifts. Releasing the hands, engaging the glute muscles as the arms drift up. And releasing that right hand down to the right thigh. Left hand, the body rotates to the left foot rotates forward. And checking your feet so that you have good stability here. The right heel lines up with the back. Middle arch. Raising both arms up. Exhaling the arms down to shoulder height. And coming into the side bending, letting that left hand out down to the outer left thigh, side bending to the left. Right hand or right arm to the right knee, left arm, side bending to the right. And coming back to this still position with the arms at shoulder height. Bringing the hands to the hips, we'll turn the body back towards the right. Allowing the arms to drift up. And we'll turn to the right, bringing the left hand down to the outer left right thigh, right hand down to the tailbone. And letting the body turn back to center. Facing the right knee. And bringing the hands down to the thigh, hinging forward and stepping your feet together. We're going to make our way down to our seated surface. If you do decide to sit on the floor, just make sure your hips are higher than your knees. So I'm going to show this sitting. For those of you who are familiar with pigeon pose and Matsyendrasana, the twist, you're welcome to do that in your traditional way on the floor. For everyone, make sure that your sit bones are being supported so that there's nothing floating in the air. It's helpful to have a block or a pillow to stick under the hips if you need it. Checking in with the quality of our practice. Quality in the body. Maybe noticing places where the energy is flowing and where it's not flowing. And bringing our presence and awareness to the contact, our sit bones, just allowing the body to rock back and forth. Our sit bones are our contact with the earth. Feeling the front, middle, and back edges of this very large bone. If you don't feel it as much, you can move the flesh away from the bones, or you can even sit on the bones just for a moment so you can feel it. It's probably a little too uncomfortable to keep the hands there, just so you feel the bones there and settle, just like you settled into the feet, feeling the edges of this bone, allowing yourself to pause in the center of the bone, shoulders stacked over the hips, allowing the eyes to rest in front of you. And we'll start first by walking the left foot in a little bit towards center and bringing the right ankle to rest on top of the left knee. And for some of you, you might feel a stretch already in the outer right hip. And if you are able to start to allow the body to hinge forward, keeping the chest lifted, until you really feel towards the edge of the stretch there, that you can't really go much further. And from here, start to allow the body just to curve forward and bringing the chin, the head towards the arms or the leg. It's very helpful here to bring the awareness inside with the breath. And we'll pause here for about 10 breaths, just allowing the breath to deeply settle towards the back body and the back lower ribs. And inhaling yourself back up into sitting, paying attention to the quality of transition here. Allowing for the right knee to rest on top of the left. Bringing the hands to the outer thigh, the right thigh, and pressing the hands into the thigh to help yourself to sit up a little bit straighter here. And as you do so, start to press in and turn the pelvis to the right, keeping the chin centered over the chest, breathing, lengthening through the side body. And when that position of rotation feels like it's as far as it can go, then release the chin and start to allow for the right shoulder to drop a little bit and the head to turn to see where the right shoulder went. Long, slow breathing. And turning the head, releasing the hands, coming back to center, releasing the legs, pausing here for 3 breaths. And walking the right foot in towards center, left knee on top of right. Feeling and sensing the outer hip on the left side. If you'd like, you can have the hands at the shin or the knee and ankle. And as you press in with the hands, using that leverage to lengthen through the spine, through the top of the head, allowing the body to start to move forward, hinging over the hips, and then releasing the chest towards the leg and breathing into the back body. Pressing yourself back up into sitting, releasing the left knee on top of the right. Placing the hands on the outer left thigh, pressing in with the hands, helping the pelvis to turn to the left, keeping the chin over the chest. Breathing into the side bodies. Planting both sit bones. Every exhalation, a place of letting go, and then when the pelvis is done and the middle spine is done, just allowing the chin to continue as the left shoulder descends. And releasing the head, pelvis, the legs. Taking a pause here for 3 breaths. And in this final minute or so of our practice, if there is a particular movement that would help you integrate what we've done today, please go ahead and do so. Otherwise, I'm going to have us sit for a minute or so, just pausing, integrating. This is really the most essential part of our practice, bringing in the energies of the day and of our movement, and allowing everything just to fully settle.